Throughout the Northwest Europe campaign from June 1944 to May 1945, American intelligence officers conducted thousands of prisoner-of-war interrogations, and the resulting reports preserved in the National Archives reveal a striking consistency. When German soldiers were asked what American weapon they feared most, they did not name tanks or aircraft, but artillery. An anxiety documented not only in words but in behavior. German units moved at night to avoid observation, dispersed forces to avoid presenting targets, limited their own artillery missions to brief shots before immediately displacing, and took cover the instant they heard the high-pitched engine of the American L-4 Cub observation aircraft, knowing devastatingly accurate artillery fire would follow within minutes. This fear was not rooted in superior American hardware. The German 105mm and 155mm pieces were comparable or even superior, but in the way American artillery operated as a highly coordinated system perfected at the U.S. Army Field Artillery School at Fort Sill between the wars. Prisoner reports from France in summer 1944 repeatedly describe American fire arriving without ranging shots, without warning, and landing precisely on concealed or newly occupied positions. One German soldier captured near St. Lo said American artillery felt like fighting an enemy who could see everything and shoot at everything simultaneously. German company commanders even began keeping stopwatches to measure the interval between spotting a Cub and the first shells. The average was 3 minutes and 10 seconds, an impossible speed in the German system, which required 12 to 15 minutes for computations under ideal conditions and up to 20 minutes or more under combat pressure. The American secret lay in the creation of the Battalion-Level Fire Direction Center, FDC, an innovation rooted in the shortcomings of World War I artillery. Major Carlos Brewer introduced standardized firing charts and improved survey methods in the early 1930s, but the real breakthrough came under Major Orlando Ward, who centralized all firing data computation at the battalion level, allowing simultaneous fire from multiple batteries on short notice. This system was further accelerated in 1940 when Captain Abbott Burns invented the graphical firing table, a transparent slide rule-like device that allowed enlisted soldiers to compute firing data in seconds rather than minutes, reducing calculation time by a factor of 20. By 1942, every American artillery battalion had fire direction centers using graphical firing tables, enabling the astonishing 3-minute response time that stunned German officers. This system made possible the American Time on Target (TOT) mission, in which guns fired at different times so that every shell arrived within a 3-second window, compressing maximum casualties into the first instant before defenders could react. German and British systems could mass fire, but neither could match American speed or simultaneous impact. Soviet artillery relied on overwhelming volume rather than precision. American superiority was amplified by an unmatched forward observer system, with trained observers down to company level equipped with reliable SCR 610 radios and supported by liaison sections embedded with infantry and armor. But the decisive innovation was the L-4 Cub, a lightweight Piper aircraft adapted for artillery observation that could take off from tiny forward strips and see miles of terrain from just 1,000 to 1,500 feet. More than 2,700 served in Europe, and their presence forced German forces into constant caution. Movement, assembly, and supply convoys became risky in daylight. German fighters seldom caught them due to American air superiority, and anti-aircraft guns struggled to hit their slow, low, nimble flight profile. The teamwork between Cub observers and fire direction centers became so refined that experienced crews could spot a target, call a mission, and have shells landing in 2 to 3 minutes. This precision and responsiveness shaped every major engagement in Northwest Europe. At Mortain in August 1944, when German forces launched Operation Luttich to cut off the American breakout, L-4 observers directed thousands of rounds from the 230th Field Artillery Battalion, halting German tank columns so effectively that commanders reported being unable to move without immediate shelling. At Hill 314, Lieutenant Ralph Curley called artillery onto his own position to break a German assault, relying on the system's precision even under danger-close conditions. At Hill 192 near St. Lo, American artillery fired 20 toti missions through the night and more than 20,000 rounds on July 11, 1944, shattering German communications and defenses before the infantry advanced. During the Battle of the Bulge, especially at Elsenborn Ridge, coordinated fire from 348 guns, divisional, corps, and attached assets, stopped the German 6th Panzer Army almost entirely through artillery, with German reports attributing the failure of their offensive to American fire rather than tanks or aircraft. At Bastogne, surrounded paratroopers relied on both internal and external artillery, with observers continuously adjusting fire despite encirclement. American counter-battery methods, integrating sound ranging, flash spotting, aerial observation, captured documents, and interrogation reports, neutralized German guns within minutes whenever they fired more than a few rounds. Meanwhile, German batteries, many still horse-drawn, struggled with ammunition shortages, limited mobility, and slow displacement, often being destroyed while attempting to move. In contrast, American artillery was fully motorized, using 2.5-ton trucks, M5 and M4 high-speed tractors, and self-propelled guns like the M7 Priest and M12 GMC, allowing rapid displacement and continuous support alongside armored forces. By late 1944, American artillery had become the most responsive, flexible, and lethal fire support system in the world, integrating forward observers, aerial reconnaissance, centralized fire direction, rapid computation, and mass precision fire to an extent unmatched by any wartime adversary. German soldiers who faced it understood its power better than anyone. Interviews across the campaign end with the same conclusion: of all the weapons on the battlefield, American artillery was the one they feared most.